Hello there! Today we're going to explore Bulgarian cuisine. But first, we're going to get a bird's eye view of what there is to eat and to drink. A flight over the picturesque coast gives one a good idea of what the main sources of local foods are. The farm grows vegetables. Can you remember that renowned Bulgarian pepper? The cattle in the pastures provide the milk that is used to make a product that you can find only here. I'll tell you about that later in more detail. And the sea is naturally a source of fish. These are the three pillars of Bulgarian cuisine: vegetables, milk, and seafood. Today, we'll discover what's being cooked on the biggest pan in Bulgaria. We'll learn how a certain bacteria shaped the tastes of an entire nation and find out why Bulgarians walk on smoldering embers. I arranged to meet with the famous chef Uti Bachvarov. Not only does he cook, he's also a TV presenter introducing new, old, and forgotten recipes to the audience. He promised to teach me to cook mussels according to an old Tsar's recipe. Good cooks often prove to be very interesting characters, too. They perceive cooking as an art, a creative activity. These people are artistic and unpredictable. Uti also turned out to be rather eccentric. To start off with, he didn't choose a kitchen or an office for us to meet in, but a cliff surrounded by a stormy sea. Hello. Hello. It's nice to meet you. You're the guy who wants, I'll teach you how to cook the Tsar's mussels. Yes, I'd love to learn. Let's go? Where are we going? Can't you see? That's the sea. Let's go. Is it necessary? Oh, well, okay then. Let's go shopping. No, my friend. You know, for Bulgarians, this means a solid yes. Let's go. The sea is waiting. You have to be very careful with the Bulgarian language, as it may trick you. For example, when we hear the word chair, they mean table. When we hear forest, they mean mountain. And when we hear go right, they mean for us to go straight. But the sea, thankfully, means the sea. And as you can see, it's quite stormy today. So what now? Are you up for it? In Bulgarian, this means a solid yes. Let's go. It was obvious that I didn't particularly want to get into the water, but Uti indicated that I won't be able to taste the real thing if I don't. So I had to follow the cook to the bottom of the sea. Mussels are one of those rare products that one can still get freely without a license, special equipment, or skills. To me, that's a big part of their enticement. The colonies of shells can be found close to the shore. According to Uti, their numbers have decreased in recent years, but it's still possible to find enough to have a filling dinner. Our equipment consists of flippers, a snorkel, and this scraper joined together with a bag. Mussels are healthy and at the same time tasty and delicious seafood. They're also beneficial to the nervous system, which is well timed, as the stormy sea makes me feel a little anxious, as well as those blue jellyfish, which have a rather painful sting. And Uti isn't tired about either. He's playing in the waves like a joyful seal. First and foremost, we need to collect those mussels fresh from the sea. Right, we've managed that. Yes, it's very tender and tasty, but it only survives for 24 hours outside the sea. I get it. And here's another secret. We need to clean them very, very carefully so that there's no sand, nothing extra left behind. Yeah, that would be kind of unpleasant to chew on sand. By the way, I still have a mouthful of sand. You're a hero. You're a real hero, I can say that. To be honest, it wasn't all that easy. Here, you can see the secret. They have to be fresh and properly cleaned. Can you see? The scent of the ocean is right here, inside of it. Hope everything works out well. Of course. Tomorrow morning, we'll see the fish festival in the city of Tsarevo. That's where we're going to cook our Tsar's mussels. In the meantime, while our catch is waiting for its fate in the ice, we have time to discover other typical and famous samples of Bulgarian cuisine. Moreover, swimming boosts the appetite. Do you know why sharks are always hungry? That's right. Let's start with the country's oldest town of Sozopol, located in the southeast of Bulgaria. It was founded as a Greek colony in the 6th century BC. Sounds like the best place to sample traditional cuisine. A few years ago, following some archaeological excavations, strange and sinister rumors started spreading around about the peculiar diets of the ancient citizens of Sozopol. Researchers found a skeleton from the medieval necropolis with a metal spike in its ribs. That's how they used to bury vampires who had consumed human blood. Archaeologists suggest that the skeleton might have belonged to a person named Krivic, who was the governor of Sozopol in the 14th century. He was a well-known villain. Krivic was a bloodsucker by all means, if not directly, then figuratively. Now, however, the late governor benefits the city, attracting tourists. And the favorite treat of the present governor is not blood, but a dairy product. And the passion for it is shared by the citizens of Sozopol as well as the rest of the country. Nowadays, the menu of Sozopol and the whole of Bulgaria depends on creatures that are invisible to the naked eye. We're talking of lactobacillus-bulgaricus. This is what I promised to tell you about at the start of today's episode. It is a lactic acid bacterium which is used to produce cheese, yogurt, and other dairy products. Bulgaricus is unique. A prominent Russian scientist and Nobel Prize winner, Ilya Mechnikov, considered it to be the best thing for improved health and rejuvenation. According to this scientist, the consumption of this product explained the phenomenal number of centenarians in Bulgaria. In the meantime, other countries couldn't breed it. It only seemed to propagate in its motherland. Therefore, the delicious brinza, kashkaval, kyselov mleko, and tarator, a traditional milk soup, can only be tasted here. They even produce sour milk ice cream. Absolutely delicious. That's how a microorganism captivated the tastes of an entire country. I'm not a researcher. I know nothing about the beneficial properties of bacteria, but I can certify that the dairy products in Bulgaria taste great. To continue our discovery of traditional Bulgarian cuisine, we'll make our way to the village. In any case, Uti locked the mussels in the fridge, and therefore, we don't have access to the main dish of this journey, the Tsar's mussels, until tomorrow. Close to Tsarevo, where the fish festival will be held, there's the village of Brodilevo, hiding in the midst of forests and fields. Here, away from the noise of the motorways, the culinary customs and traditions have remained intact. The best cook in the village is Aunt Yeva. She agreed to prepare the favorite Bulgarian pastry called Banitsa for me, provided that I'm not in her way. When Aunt Yeva is at work, everyone has to leave the kitchen. Essentially, it's phyllo pastry with a variety of fillings, including brinza, meat, cottage cheese, spinach, beetroot leaves, and pumpkin. There are also sweet versions with honey and jam. Every housewife has her own recipe. The phyllo dough is rolled into thin sheets so that it can acquire the right taste and crustiness. The filling underneath the top of the crust remains juicy and soft. Of course, you can find banitsa in big cities too, but it's at its best in the village, from an authentic village oven. They've been making banitsa here for centuries. It was first mentioned in the letters of Theophylact of Ohrid, a theologian of the 11th century. Documentation of diplomatic missions dating back to the 16th century testify in English and German that banitsa is good and banitsa ja. Each family and each region have their own banitsa recipes. Here, in Stranje, they add bulgur to it, and also greenery from the local meadows known as shtir. But they don't add brinza. For generations, peasant wives used to make banitsa and sour milk for their husbands working in the fields. It makes a filling and tasty meal. Vegetable dishes are another staple food in Bulgaria. In the autumn, each house lets out a pleasant aroma. They're cooking Ljutenica. Aunt Yeva makes the best Ljutenica in the region. Ljutenica is a traditional Bulgarian vegetable relish, or chutney. Its main ingredient is the Bulgarian bell pepper. Bell pepper in Bulgarian is called chushka. The red-hot chili peppers can be translated into Bulgarian as cherveno-luto chili chushka. Chushkas play the star role, yet they can't go without tomatoes, eggplant, and onion. The name of the relish originates from the word lut, which means spicy. They say that back in the day, that's indeed the way it was. However now, Ljutenica is more sweet than spicy because they add sugar to it. Certainly each housewife has a recipe of her own, but the standard Ljutenica looks like this. We take a big bag and buy 3 kilos of red bell peppers, 2 kilos of tomatoes, and 1 eggplant. 300 milliliters of sunflower oil and 1 onion. Cut the tomatoes and grind them, then boil them until they turn into tomato paste. Wash the bell peppers and remove the seeds. Prick the eggplant with a toothpick and grill everything together in the oven until they are ready. Peel and then grind all the vegetables. Fry the onion in a frying pan until it turns golden. Then remove the onion. We don't need it anymore. Pour hot oil into the tomato mash, along with the other vegetables. Add sugar and salt. Simmer the relish for a short while until it is thick enough for you to draw a line on its surface. And this is how you get a wonderful relish that you can spread on your bread. This one also has a slight smoky taste, as it was cooked on coals. In general, Brodilovo citizens are very fond of their coals. I remember that even back in Soviet times, the times of materialism, nestonarstvo, a fire dance ritual, was referred to as a phenomena that science could not explain. Ever since I was a child, I was fascinated by the stories of people dancing barefoot on smoldering embers. I never thought that I'd be able to see this ancient mystical ritual in person. However, before I'd even finished my Ljutenica, I heard the sound of a bagpipe and the beat of a sacred drum, and an elderly lady entered the fire circle. The magic had begun.
I started dancing on embers when I was 26. It happened incidentally. One of the Nestinors told me, "I know you can," and pushed me onto the smoldering embers. And I didn't burn myself. It changed my life. One's mindset is crucial. On the day of the ritual, I pray to St. Constantine and Helena, our patrons. I believe. I believe there are powers helping me.
The physicist Gerald Walker came up with a theory of the steam bubble. Water evaporating from one's foot creates a barrier between the heat and the foot. Walker personally decided to test his theory and seriously burnt his feet, which did rather affect the public's attitude towards his scientific research.
I think that nestinari are usually people who had suffered a lot in their life. For example, I lost my mother when I was 3 years old. I suffered a serious ailment when I was young, but the dance imbued me with the energy to love life.
I decided that enough scientific research had already been done to keep me away from the smoldering embers. They say that nestinarstvo goes back to the times of the Thracians, long before the Christian era.
I think that anyone can discover this gift within themselves. One's got to be brave and fearless. But the main thing is to have a special meditative mindset. When dancing on the fire, one is forever connected to the fire. I don't feel well without it, but it attracts me. I feel happy when I'm back on the fire.
I felt that Callie could walk on smoldering embers all night long. But I had to return to be in time for the fish festival in Sarajevo in the morning, where we will finally cook the famous Tsar's mussels. Strange amusements in Brodilovo. But the Ljutenica is delicious. Sarajevo is a small port town in the southeast of Bulgaria. Since the dawn of time, people here were fishermen. That explains their respectful approach towards the sea and its gifts. It also gave rise to many old recipes. From the early morning, the locals and visitors from all over Bulgaria start gathering in the port area. The smoke of the ovens and roasters carries an appetizing aroma all over the harbor, and the crowd is excited, anticipating the upcoming treats. This is our mussels and fish festival. Okay, since you've come here, you can help me with cooking. What do? I have a small frying pan here. You have to stir. Oh, no problem. It's very small. It'll be a piece of cake for you. Sure, I can do it. I said before that Uti is a master of practical jokes. First he pushed me into the stormy sea, and now I stand here in utter shock. Uti, and you call this a tiny frying pan? Sure, it's only about 500 portions. Where did you get this thing? It's a locomotive fairing made in 1907. A few years ago, I found an old locomotive and wheedled out its nose-mounted cap. Today, it's the biggest frying pan in Bulgaria. I travel with it across the country. I've already cooked 50,000 portions of various foods in it. And what do you call this? Your teaspoon? Oh yeah, this thing will make you sweat. Like on a construction site. And... that's the technique. I get the theory. Looks like I have some work to do today. First, we saute the onion. Thoroughly, I wanted to say stir, but in this case, paddle might be more appropriate. So then we paddle the carrots and peppers. And this is parsley. No leaves, only the stems. This is vital for the taste and aroma. The recipe will be as follows. Take 4 shovels of carrots. Of course, we're not the only ones cooking here. Everyone around us is frying, boiling, baking fish and seafood. Teams from neighboring towns are having a fish soup competition. Ready? Ready. 1, 2, 3, go! The aroma from our cooking spread across the bay and attracted the public's attention. The crowd is gathering around the gigantic frying pan. You bet! The sight is beautiful, and the promise of a delicious and free lunch is enticing. After adding the rice, we reduce the heat. Now, the boring stage of the cooking process starts. We need to stir the ingredients constantly so that the rice can properly soak in the aroma of the vegetables and herbs. After half an hour, we'll add the main ingredient.
Uti, I think I can recognize the ones I collected.
Ah, this one's mine. Nope, this one's mine 100%. So now, lift the crate and throw it in. 3, 2, 1. Yep, no standard mixing spoon could survive this. A few more minutes and our dish is ready. A fisherman's menu, the Tsar's mussels. Ancient Greeks, who founded the first settlement in this part of the Black Sea coast, had a similar recipe. But they used wheat and barley instead of rice. Rice was introduced to Europe only in the Middle Ages, and it gave birth to peculiar variations of old recipes, such as our Tsar's mussels, and its relative, the paella. Wow, what a color, what an aroma. I can't wait to taste it. Like I said, it's an old recipe. People sometimes eat like this with their hands. It tastes better this way. Wonderful. Then you squeeze it. It tastes a little spicy. It's got a taste of the sea. Yeah. The pickled fish is slightly salty. Wow, delicious. Who taught you how to make it? It was a woman. She died a long time ago. It was in the same bay where we collected our mussels. I dove to find mussels and she cooked them, using a small frying pan. Like ours? No, ours is bigger. Do you see the color? It's somewhere red, somewhere green. It's got carrots. This color and this fragrance brings back my childhood memories. Now you know the recipe. I'll keep it a secret. Please don't tell anyone, it's a secret. Incredibly delicious and fresh. Uti, tell me, why are all these people here? We can eat it by ourselves. Incredibly delicious. Now, Uti and I will remind you of the recipe. It's very easy. Take a bucket of tomatoes, 10 kilos of onions, 50 kilos of mussels, and 2 oars. 2 oars, right. It's easy. I don't think you're going to prepare 100 portions like Uti. Furthermore, not many of you will have the spare parts of a locomotive. So let's stop at 10. You'll need 4 kilograms of mussels, 1 kilogram of onions, 400 grams of carrots, the same amount of celery, 1.5 kilograms of tomatoes, spring onions, and parsley, 2 kilograms of rice, 2 cans of pitted olives, 400 grams of butter, 1 chili pepper, salt, and black pepper. Sauté the onions in oil in a large frying pan. Add carrots, celery, and chili. Stirring, add spring onions and parsley. After the ingredients have blended together, add the rice. Reduce the heat and wait for the rice to soak in the juices and aroma and to soften. As a final touch, add olives and mussels. Turn off the heat after 7 minutes and gather the guests for lunch. So, did you like it? What do you mean? I mean, this way or that way? Or is it this way? Okay, I got it. This way. Yeah. Uti does everything with great taste. Lives, cooks, eats, and infects everyone around him with his enthusiasm. Bulgarians love Uti and the food he cooks. The Tsar's mussels were enjoyed by a big crowd. Yet it did take us too long to prepare it, but it took even less time for it to be eaten. Not a problem. We can prepare the same dish at home. Bulgaria is indeed very close to Russia, which is reflected in its cuisine. If the locals recommend a dish, you will most certainly like it.